Welcome, everybody. Welcome, fellow patriots. Welcome, fellow deplorables. Welcome, fellow dregs to society. Welcome, all you fellow rock dwellers. Welcome, once again, to the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Rick Trader, coming to you from the studios of the Conservative Commandos radio network. And joining me as my co-host is the patriot from the battle-born state, the silver state of Nevada, and that's my very dear friend Sharron Angle. Sharron, welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show.
Thank you, Rick. It's always great to be here with you and talk about what's happened over the weekend. And we had a great weekend. We call it Resurrection Sunday, Easter weekend. It's a great time of celebrations for Christians all over the world. And it would have been a great and wonderful celebration this year had it not been for violence against Christians. And I guess that's the thing that kind of comes to the forefront, is that the persecution isn't over, is it? They persecuted our Lord, and we celebrate his resurrection, but the persecution continues against Christians. And I think it's just amazing, the statistics. I just wanted to read a few statistics. According to Open Doors USA, an average of 105 churches or Christian buildings are burned or attacked every month. 105 every month. And we don't even hear about 105 every month.
No, we heard about Notre Dame, obviously, but 105 churches every month. My gosh, it's over 1,200 a year that don't make the headlines.
No, that we don't even hear about. And then here's another statistic, and that's more than 3 a day. I thought that was great that they pointed that out, more than 3 a day. And almost all of those attacks get ignored by the mainstream media in the Western world. In addition, an average of, get this, 345 Christians are killed for faith-related reasons every single month. So 345 Christians get martyred, basically. We have 345 martyrs a month around the world for their faith. And we don't even hear about this.
No, I know. In Africa, in the past couple of weeks, there have been a couple of mass killings of Christians. And let's put a name on this, Sharron. Let's call this out for what it is. These murders are done by Islamists.
They are.
This attack in Sri Lanka over the weekend, that was done by Islamists. You know, let's not be politically correct here, Sharron. I am so sick of this political correctness. Do you remember a few weeks ago there was the shooting at a mosque in New Zealand? The outrage that came out of that. There, the victims were Muslim, okay? I don't know the faith of the man that did the killing, if he had any faith at all. All right, but it was all over the news, all over the TV, radio, television, newspapers, magazines, internet, specifically saying that this was 50 Muslims that were killed. Terrible. I'm not justifying it, but as you're saying, hundreds and hundreds of Christians are killed each and every month. We saw that we see it a lot in Africa, unfortunately. But go ahead.
Well, I was just thinking that the Muslims have what they call jihad, which is holy war, and this is a holy war against Christians. It's just I don't know how you can say it any way other than that the Muslims have a holy war, and they're not above killing themselves in this holy war in order to continue it on. I believe that some of the Sri Lankan attack was done by suicide bombers. So when you couple that with the idea that they are doing this holy war through suicide themselves, and then they're killing hundreds of innocent victims, people who, Christians are not in the business of war. We don't do holy war. And I know that lots of folks would like to point to, oh yeah, what about the Crusades? Well, that was hundreds of years ago. And I think when you really examine history, you'll find that that wasn't really Christians that were perpetrating that. But whatever, we're in this place right now where we've got 345 dying every month for their faith in a holy war.
Sharron, do you remember how that shooting was condemned? How that shooting was absolutely condemned, the shooting of the Muslims in New Zealand? Well, how is this horrific act, this terroristic act, being handled by the media and by our quote-unquote political leaders today? Well, got something to show you and tell you. An Islamic terror group killed hundreds of Christians attending Easter services in Sri Lanka on Sunday in a suicide bombing campaign. And Barack Obama, remember him? Barack Obama didn't even mention the word Christian in his sympathy tweet. Well, Barack wasn't alone, and I got to go to my other computer and share a screen with everybody here, because I just want to show you how others are also treating this killing, how they're calling it. Well, I mentioned Barack Obama. Barack Obama said the attackers on tourists and Easter worshippers in Sri Lanka are an attack on humanity. Hey, Barack Obama, they were Christians. They were Christians that were killed. Hillary Clinton said, I'm praying for everyone affected by today's horrific attacks on Eastern worshipers and travelers. You know, when you talk about the political spin, here it goes. Elizabeth Warren, to slaughter worshipers at church during Easter services is an act of great evil. You get this? Worshipers. All right? So the Democrats obviously got their talking points together, Sharron, that these were worshipers and travelers and tourists. Julian Castro, on a day of redemption and hope, the evil of these attackers on Easter worshipers and tourists in Sri Lanka is deeply saddening. Worshippers and tourists, Sharron Engel, where's Christians? These people were Christian. That's what they were doing in church.
I think that you have really identified what's going on here, though. There's this thread, and that thread is the talking points. Yes. They don't do anything singularly or individually or independently. They have someone who's saying, "Oh, these are the talking points. Use them."
They're political operatives.
That's right.
It's amazing how they spread these talking points out. There you got Elizabeth Warren, Barack Obama, Hillary Clinton, Julian Castro. They're using basically the same words: worshipers and tourists and travelers. Mm-hmm. That's what they think.
Well, you know, for years now, they have been trying to make us not a Christian nation, mm-hmm. and denying our Christian roots and Christian Judeo roots. In fact, they lump us all together, which I don't have any problem with that, but I do believe that you cannot just ignore history. The men who framed the Constitution were Christians.
They were Christians. They were absolutely. There were Christians. There were a few Jews, but they had a common thread. They believed in God. Okay, mm-hmm. They believed in God, and I don't know, Sharron. I hate to say this. Eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. I mean, how do you stop this? How do you stop these terrible attacks on somebody because of what they believe? Okay? We believe in God. The Muslims believe in God. Are there separate gods? Is there a Christian God or is there a Muslim God? I think that there's one God. People pray differently. People do have some different beliefs. But basically, I believe that there is only one God. So where's
Well,
the attack?
obviously
the attack is on
there's
how you
a
pray to that God.
there's a disconnect though between the Muslim faith and the Christian Judeo faith in that they don't believe that they are serving the same God. If they did, how could they kill their brothers? And yet this holy war is against the infidel. We are infidels, and that means we're not faithful to their God, is what they believe. And since we are not faithful to their God, there must be a different God for them. That's all I can conclude, is that they do not worship my God. My God just does not advocate for this kind of thing. Like you said, my God doesn't say eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. He says turn the other cheek.
Well, you know, Sharron, and I'll take it a step further. I'm not even sure it's about a God. I do believe it's about land, and that land being the Middle East. Hello? I mean, isn't this why they're in this jihad, this holy war, because of Western support for Israel? And
well,
what's that about? That is over land.
Yeah, politics has a lot to do with it, and oil, I think, is another piece of the puzzle here. But you're certainly right. Whenever we talk about these problems that we have in the world, the old saying goes, "Just follow the money."
Follow the money.
I think in this case, you can do that as well.
All right. And this is the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Rick Trader. My co-host today is Sharron Engel, and we're coming to you from the studios of the Conservative Commandos radio network. We've got three great guests joining us once again today. On the other side of this break, Sharron will tell you who they are, what our topics of conversation will be. But you are listening and watching the Conservative Commandos radio show. Today's show is being brought to you by the First Amendment, protected by the Second. Sharron and I will be right back.
Have you been leasing a property for your business or renting storage space? Are you tired of paying rent year after year? Call the experts at General Steel to own a building at up to 30% off now.
I'd been renting a building and paying someone else's mortgage, but General Steel showed me how I could own a space tailored to the needs of my business and for less than renting.
Call General Steel now at the number on your screen for our current building specials and to price your metal building system today.
My building's the dream I've had since finishing my house 14 years ago. I've been using it for a garage, workshop, and storage area for my tools and equipment, and I can't believe how great it turned out.
The economy is improving and the price of steel is expected to rise. Stop waiting. It could cost you thousands. Call General Steel now to see how you can own for less than you thought. Stop waiting to start your business or expand your operation. Call General Steel now.
Call 877-484-7002.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America, and get this. Did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The secret war is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
And once again, welcome back. Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Rick Drader. My co-host today is Sharron Engel. For rebroadcasts of our show, please check out our website, ccrshow.com. That's ccrshow.com. Please like us, friend us, and follow us on Facebook and on Twitter. Sharron, once again, the hallmark of our show is great guests, and we have 3 of them joining us today.
And that's right. Our first guest is Travis Korson, who is currently the Senior Vice President at Madison Strategies and the Director of Public Policy for Frontiers of Freedom. Travis has also served in the Bush White House and has spent time at various public policy organizations and government institutions, including the Heritage Foundation, Americans for Prosperity, and the Faith and Family and Freedom Coalition. He regularly appears on television and radio and has appeared on Fox News, One America News Network, Newsmax TV. Travis has been quoted in several leading publications, including Politico and New York Times, and his works have been published on various outlets, including Roll Call, The Hill, Newsmax, Daily Caller, and Real Clear Markets. He has written an article, Rick, Bernie's Medicare for All would ban private insurance and lower incomes. Mm-hmm. We've been being very outspoken about what the problem is with Medicare for All, and of course, you and I having to be automatically put into the Medicare pool. We understand completely what the horrors are of being on Medicare, when it's just for senior citizens. So anyway, we're going to get into it one more time.
These people who love dealing with government, I guess they never dealt with Social Security. They never dealt with the IRS. They never dealt with the post office. You know, these people who want more and more government controlling their lives really need to go to the post office more often and stand in lines to buy a stamp.
Or just try going to the emergency room. How much closer does that get? Ever since our experience in Washington, D.C. with that 3 to 5 hour wait, I've asked my friends who are healthcare professionals, and they say, oh, yeah, that's pretty typical. And it all has to do with Obamacare. And the reason that they have those large, long waits is because people don't have their own insurance anymore. They can't afford it. So they use the emergency room as their primary care physician. And that's what has happened to our emergency rooms. They're not for emergencies anymore. And in fact, if you have an emergency, good luck on getting cared for in a timely way.
That. You could die waiting in an emergency room. I mean, seriously.
Seriously. Our second guest is Jeff Crouere, who is a native New Orleans, and his award-winning program, Ringside Politics, airs at 7:30 p.m. Fridays and 10 p.m. Sundays on a PBS affiliate, WLAE-TV, Channel 32, and from 7 to 11 weekdays on WGSO. He is a political columnist, the author of America's Last Chance, and provides regular commentaries on the Jeff Crouere YouTube channel. Jeff is going to talk to us about finally a real Attorney General. He gives us an overview of the last few, and they've been disappointing, and that's an understatement. I think we're finally to the bottom of this, and we'll get Jeff to kind of do the analysis of that. Our final guest is E.Calvin Beisner, who's the founder and national spokesman of the Cornwall Alliance for Stewardship of Creation. He's the author of a dozen books and over 1,000 articles, and a former associate professor of historical theology and social ethics at Knox Theological Seminary and an interdisciplinary studies at Covenant College. He has written an article, Earth Day, Time to Express Thanks to God for His Gift of Creation. And I think this is going to be a new spin on Earth Day. we've celebrated Earth Day every year for quite a few years
49 years. 49 years. Yesterday was the 49th anniversary of Earth Day.
Well, and I think that we've turned over a new page, if you will, on the celebration of Earth Day. So we'll talk to Calvin Beisner about that today.
All right. Indeed. We do have three great guests joining us once again. Well, Sharron, what else is on your radar screen?
Well, I'll just conclude our last topic.
Okay.
This wall-to-wall media coverage of mayhem can induce post-traumatic stress on those who consume it.
Interesting.
A new study that tracked thousands of Americans after the Boston Marathon bombing in 2013 and the Pulse nightclub shooting in 2016 in Orlando found that for many who acknowledged initial distress over one of these events, watching lots of news coverage about it was associated with experiencing more post-traumatic stress symptoms 6 months later. And that was not the end of their distress. Those who spent more hours engaged with 7 different forms of media coverage about one event were more likely to worry over future events. So the media is doing us no favors. First, they can't report it accurately. And second, they're causing us PSTD because when they report on it, it's making us crazy with worry. Another story that I thought was interesting because it's close to home and I experienced this. It comes over the state line at me often. But the motorists throughout the Golden State of California are paying an average of $4.01 a gallon for regular gasoline, by far the highest in the country and well above the national average of $2.83, according to a news release by AAA. California hasn't seen gas prices this high since July of 2014. The spike is blamed, get this, Rick, this just kills me, the way they spin this. We all know that the reason that gas prices are so high is because gas taxes are high.
Bingo.
And also governmental regulation on all this green Green New Deal stuff. It just costs us, and this is where it costs us, right at the gas pump. So when you have this big green state, we know that it's a regulation and taxation that has caused these high gas prices. But that's not the politically correct spin. Listen to this. The spike is blamed on a switchover from winter blend gasoline to traditionally more expensive summer blend, as well as ongoing refinery issues. 6 of the state's 10 refineries have seen a reduction in output because of the unexpected and planned maintenance. Give me a break. It's, every year they switch over in this blend. And of course, these blend switches are once more just a part of that clean air stuff. But, and I'm not sure that I believe that that's altogether necessary, but for whatever reason, that's where the blame's being put, not on overregulation, not on overtaxation.
Well, part of the fact that I heard one time how many different blends of gasoline are in California alone. I forget that figure, but I think we're in many other states there is like 1 or 2 blends of gasoline. There was maybe one of our viewers or listeners out in California can send an email to me letting me know how many different blends of gasoline there are. But you're right about the taxation, Sharron. We hear this complaint all the time about the big oil companies making so much money. Oil companies make about 8 cents a gallon on gasoline, okay? But the states and the federal government make about $2 a gallon on the price of a gallon of gasoline. They're the ones that are getting filthy rich off the motorist. Sharron, break time once again. And you are listening and watching the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Rick Trader. My co-host is Sharron Engel, coming to you from the studios of the Conservative Commandos radio network. Don't go away. On the other side, we're going to have a good friend joining us, Travis Korson. He's going to talk about Bernie's Medicare for All plan would ban private insurance and lower incomes. Deja vu all over again. It reminds me of Obamacare. But don't go away. We'll be right back with our guest.
AM/FM 24/7 Roku channel broadcasts all of our shows on demand. To ensure reliability, we store and stream our content on the same servers as Netflix and Amazon. Our Roku channel is free to use, and anyone owning one of the more than 10 million Roku devices can watch our channel at no cost whatsoever. If you have a television show or are thinking about producing a show, you can be a part of AM/FM 24/7's Roku channel. Watch our great shows on your Roku device. It's free and more reliable than cable TV. Are you stuck with a timeshare? Did you attend the presentation and were seduced and enticed into buying that great vacation and investment? Now you're in the terrible position of trying to figure out a way to get out of that mess. You're not alone. For over 15 years, BuyYourTimeshare.com has been helping people like yourself get out of timeshare ownership. The fact is, there is no resale market. Unscrupulous telemarketers call you and say they have buyers waiting, and the next thing that happens is you give them hundreds of dollars for an ad, and you'll never hear from them again. Another fact is that an identical timeshare to yours is being offered on eBay for $1, and no one is buying it. If you want out of your timeshare, I urge you to go to BuyYourTimeshare.com or call them at 877-94-HELP-ME. That number again is 877-94-HELP-ME. BuyYourTimeshare.com. That's BuyYourTimeshare.com. 877-94-HELP-ME.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
Welcome back. Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharron Engel and yours truly, Rick Trader. For rebroadcast of our shows, please check out our website, CCRShow.com. That's CCRShow.com. On there, you can find our radio show, our TV show, and a lot of great articles and information. And Sharron, our first guest of the day is with us. The honor of the introduction is yours.
Well, it is an honor to introduce Travis Korson, who is currently the Senior Vice President at Madison Strategies and the Director of Public Policy for Frontiers of Freedom. Travis has also served in the Bush White House and has spent time at various public policy organizations and government institutions, including the Heritage Foundation, Americans for Prosperity, the Faith and Freedom Coalition. He regularly appears on television and radio, and he is quoted in several leading publications, and he has been published in various outlets across the country, including Roll Call to Hill, Newsmax, Daily Caller, and Real Clear Markets. Travis, welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show.
Thanks. Good to be with you again.
Well, it's our pleasure, and we want to talk to you about an article you wrote, Bernie's Medicare for All would ban private insurance and lower incomes. Rick and I are constantly, maybe not Rick so much as I am, but I...
She's being nice.
I just get crazy when I talk about Medicare. I had to go on it. It's mandatory. I reached a certain age, and now it's mandatory for me. And I can tell you, it is a nightmare in some respects. Doctors refuse to take Medicare patients. Many things are not covered in Medicare with Medicare, and Medicare lowballs everything. They lowball every physician's bill. So talk to us about this article that you've written on Medicare for All. This is supposed to be the big thing that's going to fix it for us.
Well, haven't we heard this before? Not even 10 years ago with Obamacare, we heard that if you liked your insurance, you could keep it and premiums would be lower and care outcomes would be different. But what we ended up seeing was that was not the case. In the first year of Obamacare, 5 million Americans who otherwise wanted to keep their insurance lost their insurance. And from 2013 to 2017, premiums didn't go down, they doubled. So what I wanted to do was just, show the American public and remind folks, we heard these promises all once before for a health care fix. And enough people believed the Democrats then to vote them into office to be able to pass this health care reform. They should just beware, again, because the promises that they're making for Medicare for all are not going to live up to the promises that they're making, just like the promises of Obamacare did not live up to the outcomes.
Well, and you go through 4 things that are going to absolutely happen. If they pass Medicare for all, these 4 things are going to happen. And you say, for starters, the private insurance of 181 million Americans. Talk about that, how that's going to affect 181 million Americans.
Absolutely. Well, Medicare for all, it bans private insurance. So even if you wanted to pay out of pocket for your insurance, it doesn't allow you to do so. In fact, it goes beyond banning private insurance. It prohibits doctors from entering into private arrangements with patients. If there is a provision, it's Section 302, I believe it is, which states that if a doctor wants to see patients privately or take payment other than Medicare, they need to sign an affidavit, submit it to the Secretary of Health and Human Services, and wait 1 year before they can see any patients that will be on this new Medicare for All scheme. So the provisions that they put really would not only end private insurance, it would basically end any sort of private arrangement between a patient and a physician to receive medical care in the country, period. Not only does it affect private insurance, though, it also affects some quasi-private plans that are very well liked. All of our soldiers and veterans that are on TRICARE, that would end the TRICARE program, which is very well liked. The federal employees benefits program would end. And folks on Medicare, Medicaid, and CHIP would also, everyone would be folded into this program. So it really is a radical, basically bulldozing of the entire system of insurance that we have today.
Well, and I've already experienced some of that. I've tried to get in to see doctors who say, well, I don't take Medicare. And I say, well, I have my other insurance, which I do. No, because we don't take Medicare, we can't accept you as a patient because you have Medicare.
Yep.
And then I say, well, I want to pay for it with my own money. And they say, no, same rules apply. We can't do that. And so I can't see the doctor I want to see. And you point out that the third problem, besides TRICARE and not being able to have private insurance, is that seniors are going to suffer more. How do we, I mean, I feel like I'm suffering already.
Absolutely. This would be a huge blow to seniors. This isn't the first time that the Democrats have raided Medicare. If your listeners and viewers remember, Obamacare raided $716 billion out of Medicare to pay for their programs and to cover their program. So this is just the next blow that they would draw. One of the big things that Medicare for All and socialized medicine like this leads to is care rationing, and that's a big issue for seniors, and you're experiencing it now with doctors not accepting it and having to wait at certain facilities. Imagine what it would be like if every office was to operate under this regime. On top of that, it takes away the quasi-private option that some seniors have elected to take, about a third of seniors that are on Medicare, and that is these Medicare Advantage plans, where a private insurer basically administers the plan for you and takes it over, and you pay sometimes a zero premium, sometimes a premium, but it reduces costs overall. It takes away that benefit sharing. It sometimes even throws in additional dental and vision benefits that don't come with these plans. All that goes away under this because any sort of private management whatsoever is banned under the proposal.
Well, now, we have some exempt groups. I know the health share groups, they usually are Christian groups, and they are health share groups. They're exempt from all of the Obamacare regulations. Would they now be captured in this wide net?
My assumption would be yes, because I haven't dug too deeply into the direct relationship and how that is considered. But given the fact that Medicare for All prohibits any private arrangements outside of the government between an entity and a physician, I would believe under that regime that health share programs would also fall victim to these same regulations. Really, it's about getting everyone out of the market and into government care, and that's why some of these regulations have been placed and written the way that they are for this proposal.
Well, and Canadians have told us it's just working marvelously in Canada. That's why they jump across the border every chance they get to come to this country for health care. You said that the fourth thing is that these costs are just absolutely unsustainable. How so? This is supposed to be the answer, right? And make everything better as far as cost. There are not enough taxes that can be raised to pay for this plan. There was a study that the Mercatus Institute did, and I want to make sure I quote this properly here. They found a couple of different things. They found, first of all, that it would add $32 trillion to the deficit over the next 10 years. And outside of that window, they assume $3.2 trillion over 10 years. Outside of that 10-year window, the average yearly increase of the deficit would actually be even larger than that. So it grows outside of that 10-year window. It doesn't get smaller. Part of that is because it cuts back any sort of control on the demand side of healthcare. If you don't have to pay, and there's no co-payment or co-insurance or any costs out of your pocket, it makes you think a lot less about receiving care and going and being judicious about how you receive care and what kind of relationships you have with your physician. On top of that, they found that even doubling tax rates on individuals and corporations would be insufficient to finance this plan. Sanders puts a new wealth tax on. There's a new additional payroll tax that he proposes on top of that. But the fact of the matter is, at a certain point, raising taxes depresses growth, and there's just only so much that you can squeeze to pay for a program like this. It would also fall on the backs of your average American family. The Council of Economic Advisors found that it would lower average American household wealth by $17,000 a household. So not only would healthcare outcomes decline, American families would bear the brunt and become poorer in the process. Wow. This just sounds like a nightmare waiting to happen. We need to go to a break right now. We are coming to you from the Conservative Commandos Radio Network studios and around the world on the internet with TalkStream Live, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, American Political Radio, Leading Edge Radio Network, and AM/FM 24/7. And now you can watch our TV show on the AUN TV network in Northern California. We'll be right back with our guest, Travis Korson, who is the Senior Vice President of the Madison Strategies and the Director of Public Policy for Frontiers of Freedom. We'll be joined by our co-host Rick Trader, and I'm Sharron Engel.
I saw voter fraud with my own eyes. Now, people say, why didn't you report it to the authorities? Well, they were the ones doing it.
The integrity of one man, one vote doesn't apply at the Texas state legislature. There is no way to know if your representatives are voting for themselves.
Department, a Republican, reaches back to vote for Democrat Oliveira. Democrat Matt Reynolds votes for Republican England.
2 out of 3 voters nationwide believe that voter fraud is a serious problem in the U.S. today.
The process is rigged.
Both sides of the aisle are guilty.
Florida now has to tell the Department of Justice whether the state will comply with DOJ's demand to stop purging thousands of people from its voter rolls.
We have the sloppiest election system of any industrialized democracy.
Philadelphia flagged 50,000 duplicate registrations, so just think how many more slipped through.
It's almost impossible to detect. How do you get caught? You only get caught if you confess.
Election corruption is deeply embedded in America. Quote, election fraud is a crime that usually pays, unquote, writes Tracy Campbell in his book, Deliver the Vote, A History of Election Fraud, an American political tradition from 1742 to 2004. In 1742, the first Prime Minister of Britain in the American colonies, Robert Walpole, was forced to resign.
We have a right not to have our vote canceled out by someone who shouldn't be voting, someone who's an illegal alien, someone who's a felon not eligible to vote, someone who doesn't exist. If they vote, they cancel your vote out as much as if you're prevented from voting.
If this is going to be fixed, it's going to have to be a citizen effort. It comes down to, it's the same old question, if not now, when? If not us, then who?
This is huge. This is about the democracy and the principles of the United States of America. People say, but why you? Why you? Why? Well, why not? And if it starts with a fireman, if it starts with a sanitation worker, if it starts with a teacher or a nurse or a caretaker of the elderly, then so be it. It's got to start somewhere. But it's time we come together and fix this problem once and for all.
There is no serious person out there who would suggest somehow that you could even rig America's elections.
To say that it doesn't exist is an outright lie.
Serious allegations of voter fraud, the claims raising questions about the
Commerce Secretary Ron Brown and 32 others were on a military plane that crashed today in a violent storm. There are no known survivors at this time.
The U.S. Army was funded by the evil entity.
I saw voter fraud with my own eyes.
To say that it doesn't exist is an outright lie.
The process is rigged.
People die and fall for the right time.
So it's incredibly important now that we draw a line and say, not on our watch.
Welcome back. Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Rick Trader. My co-host today is Sharron Engel. Want to give a shout out to the folks who listen to us on radio stations in Florida, Nevada, Georgia, Pennsylvania, Colorado, Wisconsin, California, and seen on the 7-station network of the AUN television network. Our guest this segment is Travis Korson. He's the senior vice president at Madison Strategies. He's also the director of public policy at our friends at Frontiers of Freedom. Travis, thank you for holding through that break. We appreciate your time.
Absolutely.
And Travis, we're discussing your article. Bernie's Medicare for All plan would ban private insurance and lower incomes. You know, Travis, everything that we were warned about, about Obamacare has come true. And the things that we were warned about were the horror stories. What would happen if we got Obamacare? Now, the horror stories were actually worse in many ways. But here we go again, Travis. 10 years later, the Democrats are at it again. Do you think the American people are stupid enough to swallow this evil pill twice?
I certainly don't think the American people are on board with Medicare at all. For all, one of the things that they did with Obamacare when they were smart when they packaged it is they proposed it as a reform to private insurance, a reform to the market-based system that we have. In this instance, Democrats have gone a lot further, and frankly, the Democratic Party has moved a lot further to the left, even since the Obamacare debates of just a few years ago. Mm-hmm. They are not trying to mask this as any sort of private role or any sort of private part or private fix to healthcare. They are talking about a full government takeover of the healthcare system. On top of that, it has become a litmus test for the 2020 Democratic candidates for of the Democratic senators, 4 Democratic senators and Bernie Sanders, the 4 of his colleagues that are running for president, couldn't get on the bill fast enough as co-sponsors. And really, with the exception of Joe Biden, who has not come out necessarily against the proposal, but is resisting endorsing it, most of the mainstream 2020 Democratic presidential contenders are falling in line in support of this bill. That just shows how far left the Democratic Party has gone, but this also puts them to the left of where the American public is on these types of matters.
Well, Travis, you know, when it came out, I said from the very beginning, the goal and the aim of the Democrat Party was single payer. That was the goal. That was it. You know, and they lied to us. They said you could keep your hospital, you could keep your doctor, you could keep your insurance. They lied to us. They said this was going to cut premiums. They lied to us about the death panels. They lied to us about access. Travis, but what it frustrates me, the Republicans have done nothing to stop or reverse Obamacare. Donald Trump can't act alone. I'm just as angry with the Republicans as I am with the Democrats, to be frank and honest.
Well, I would point to the progress that that President Trump has made at looking at ways to control costs, because at the end of the day, this debate is all around cost. And what I think got lost in the debate was Republicans allowed themselves to go on and play on Democratic turf, where Democrats made it all about insurance and about the coverage side of things. But if you look at what President Trump is doing, after trying to repeal Obamacare and running into some issues in the House and Senate that prevented that, he's moved on to looking at ways to control costs, specifically with prescription drug pricing, allowing association medical plans. So he's looking at different ways where we can use the market and work with private sector actors to bring costs under control. And I think that's a model that Republicans need to start embracing and getting behind.
Well, I agree with you. Donald Trump has done what he could, like he ended the individual mandate, but it was people on his own party, people in his own party, that has really stopped him from repealing and replacing this terrible system. I mean, people like John McCain, God bless his soul, you know, he stopped any potential repeal and replace this. So, you know, Travis, over this past 2 months, I've been to the emergency room 3 times. And the waits have been atrocious. 3 to 5 hour waits in an emergency room. Finally, the 3rd time I just walked out. I could not wait there any longer. And what you could also talk about the abuses of the emergency room, that people are now using the emergency room as their primary care doctor. And I'll tell you a story. I go to an emergency room. There's a young girl in there with her mother. By the way, the mother could not speak English. They had no insurance. They had no money. This young girl, and I guess she was about 14 or 15 years old, she was there because she had laryngitis in an emergency room. And part of the reason is because of this mess that we've gone through with Obamacare. Doctors have left the practice. I personally have lost 3 doctors. 3 doctors because of, I'll call it, because of Obamacare.
So one of the things that I would point to, and this goes back to patients helping to work collaboratively to determine their own outcomes, is the advent of these high deductible healthcare plans. These have brought a semblance of market-based activity into the insurance markets by forcing consumers to shop around and maybe going to a primary care physician or an urgent care facility that costs significantly less than an emergency room and is equipped for these kind of walk-in type appointments. So again, it goes back to instituting more market-based reform to have individuals shopping around and going to the appropriate places to receive the care that they need.
Travis, this is a terrific article. It's one of the reasons why we ask you to come on. You really did your homework. You did your research. On here, you talked about the number of people that have lost their private insurance, the number of people who are without insurance, how much more it costs for coverage. Let's talk about Obamacare now. How many people did that actually help? Have any idea on that?
I don't have that number handy. There were some individuals that were able to get on to healthcare plans via subsidies to get on healthcare plans, but just as many people that otherwise had health insurance were moved on to Medicaid plans, which is problematic because while some individuals were brought into the private markets, more individuals were brought into government-run healthcare programs, which is not usually an ideal outcome.
All right, Travis Korson, we want to thank you so much for joining us. But Travis, before you go, please tell our audience how they could follow your work, read your articles, and also pick up this great article that you wrote.
Absolutely. That was on my Emerging Conservative Policy blog on Newsmax.com. That's where I write articles fairly regularly on some issues. Other issue areas that I work on and other pieces can be found on the Frontiers of Freedom website, which is ff.org.
Travis Korson, great to talk with you. Great to see you. Take care and God bless.
Thank you.
And you are listening and watching the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharron Engel and yours truly, Rick Trader. On the other side, we're going to be joined by our friend Jeff Crouere. We're going to talk about finally, a real attorney general. Don't go away. We will be right back.
Have you been leasing a property for your business or renting storage space? Are you tired of paying rent year after year? Call the experts at General Steel to own a building at up to 30% off now.
I'd been renting a building and paying someone else's mortgage, but General Steel showed me how I could own a space tailored to the needs of my business and for less than renting.
Call General Steel now at the number on your screen for our current building specials and to price your metal building system today.
My building's the dream I've had since finishing my house 14 years ago. I've been using it for a garage, workshop, and storage area for my tools and equipment, and I can't believe how great it turned out.
The economy is improving, and the price of steel is expected to rise. Stop waiting. It could cost you thousands. Call General Steel now to see how you can own for less than you thought. Stop waiting to start your business or expand your operation. Call General Steel now.
Call 877-484-7002.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America. And get this, did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
And thank you for staying with us. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show. My co-host today is Sharron Engel. And Sharron, we have our next guest with us. Please make him feel welcome.
Well, it's always an honor to introduce Jeff Crouere, who is a native New Orleans, and he has an award-winning program, Ringside Politics, which airs at 7:30 p.m. on Fridays, 10 p.m. on Sundays, on a PBS affiliate, Channel 32, WLAE-TV, and from 7 to 11 a.m. weekdays on WGSO 990 a.m. He's a political columnist, the author of America's Last Chance, and provides regular commentaries on the Jeff Crouere YouTube channel. Jeff, welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show.
Thank you, Sharon. Thank you, Rick. Good to be with you guys today.
It's great to have you. We want to talk about, finally, a real Attorney General. Give us kind of a brief summary of where we're coming from here when you say we finally got a real one. We've had real ones in the past, but they weren't very good ones.
You know, I think back to the trauma of the Obama administration.
Trauma
when we had
of the Obama. Nice.
We had Eric Holder as Attorney General to start off. Of course, he was the one who I think played the race card from the very beginning. And he didn't prosecute those Black Panthers that were intimidating voters. He claimed we were not courageous enough to talk about race when he was playing the race card. He, of course, was held in contempt of Congress because he didn't provide information that they requested for Operation Fast and Furious. He said that he was Obama's wingman, that he was going to protect Obama. So that's what he did. And then, of course, he was followed by Loretta Lynch, who, as we know, was not only protecting Obama, but she was protecting Hillary Clinton. And that infamous tarmac meeting, I can never get past that whole very suspicious get-together with Bill Clinton. And so when we elected Donald Trump, my thinking, Sharon, was that, wow, this is an important position. We need someone in there with integrity, with guts, who can take on the deep state, but can certainly do the job needed. And it was maybe the most important position in the administration. And the president appointed his first U.S. senator to endorse him, Jeff Sessions. And from day one, we realized that Jeff Sessions was just a disaster. Mm-hmm. He never was able to stand up to the deep state. He cowered from the very beginning. He was weak and impotent. He, of course, recused himself from the Russia investigation, which really has damaged the entire Trump administration. It was the most consequential event maybe of the first 2 years of the Trump administration. So finally, after the midterms, the president forced him out, and he selected someone who I had my questions about, Bill Barr, because he served for George H.W. Bush, not exactly my favorite president. But I have to say, Sharon, I've been impressed with what he has done so far. I think he has stood up to all of these critics among the Democratic Party, among the, of course, media. And I'm certain within the Justice Department that he's overseeing. And I was impressed with how he handled himself with this whole Mueller report and this bombshell that was just, dropped in his lap that he had to deal with. And I think he's done a very good job.
Well, I think that most of us were just appalled by the weakness that Sessions displayed, and we couldn't understand why Trump waited so long to get rid of him, I guess. Do you have an explanation there?
Well, I think he was very sensitive to the criticism that he was trying to thwart the investigation, that he was in some way trying to impede the work of Mueller and the special counsel. So I think he wanted the midterms to get out of the way because it would have been a political issue. And when that happened, pretty much Jeff Sessions, I think, was forced out the next day. And then we had the interim Attorney General, Matt Whitaker, and then, of course, he selected Bill Barr. So I think he just wanted to get the midterm out of the way and let him serve 2 years. But I'll just tell you, that was the biggest disappointment in the first 2 years of the Trump administration, his worst pick for any position. He's made some bad picks. I mean, I'm a big supporter, but he's made some bad picks, and I think that was the worst of them.
Well, I think that it's difficult if you haven't really paid too close of attention to the Republican wing of the Congress. You don't understand how truly they lack courage. There's so many of them over there. We have about 35 strong in the Freedom Caucus that can sway another 100 once in a while, and the rest of them are just weak, it seems like.
I agree. I mean, they are useless. And you know what's worse, Sharron, is that they're really opponents. I mean, they're not just weak. We have people like Mitt Romney, and we have others that they're undermining the president and really doing damage to his agenda and to the party and to the presidency. So, you know, John McCain, who was so horrible. I mean, his mantle's been picked up, and Jeff Flake now by, I guess, Romney and others. And yeah, it's really very, very, very disappointing. And it goes to show you that, you know, Donald Trump's election was really an indictment not only of the Democrats and the media and the deep state, but also the establishment wing of the Republican Party.
And I guess that's why you and I and everyone else, when we see someone like Barr being appointed, we go, whoa, here we go, just part of the deep state again, or the establishment again. So why isn't that true with Barr? You know, we expected it. We thought, oh no, like you said, another bad pick. What's different here this time, do you think?
Well, I think, one, he comes in with a lot of credibility on both sides. He comes in with the experience of being Attorney General, so he's a member of the establishment, the D.C. Circuit, that, of course, powerful D.C. Establishment. But I think what he's doing is also showing ahead of time that he didn't agree with everything Mueller was doing. He wrote a memo last year, you know, raising questions about whether, you know, President Trump could possibly be charged with any obstruction of justice. So he made his criticisms clear of what the special counsel was doing. I think that was maybe one of the reasons why President Trump appointed him. And then the fact that he jumped out in front of this thing and has been able to really control the narrative from the beginning and say, hey, this is what the report showed. He put out that summary that the Democrats and the media hated. By the way, that's the same thing, Democrats and the media. That's like interchangeable. Right. It's media, Democrats, media, the same thing. So they hated that summary. And then they hated his press conference because they claimed that he was doing the bidding of President Trump, although the media never would say that to Eric Holder or Loretta Lynch and claim that they were doing the bidding of Barack Obama. They just loved the job they were doing. So they're so used to Jeff Sessions and this weak Attorney General we've had, the fact that now this guy is leading the department, and it's not Rod Rosenstein who's leading the department. Remember, Rod Rosenstein has really been the de facto Attorney General for the first 2 years because he was overseeing the Mueller investigation. And really, what else is important? That has been so consequential and the most important thing of the Trump administration so far, that Rod Rosenstein really has been in charge, and now Barr has taken control, and Rod Rosenstein is his deputy. And now Rod Rosenstein is agreeing with Barr that Donald Trump actually did not commit obstruction of justice, and now the president's been exonerated. And, of course, the media and Democrats hated that. So Barr's going to have to go before Congress again. They're going to haul him in for questioning, and they're going to be very aggressive in going after him. And the other thing they hated was that when he said that, yeah, there was spying on President Trump. And of course, we all know that, but to hear that from the Attorney General, I think was so refreshing. And of course, his opponents were apoplectic about that remark.
Well, I know we're all hopeful out here that this is the change. But of course, we'd all like to see Rosenstein go. You know, it just seems like he needs to go since he was part of the problem. And we haven't seen that happen yet. So I guess we're all waiting for a little justice out here. There are several of us that had cases that wanted to go before the Attorney General, but with Holder there in that office, there was just no way we were going to get a hearing. In fact, he refused to hear our cases. I had one against Terry Reid that they just refused to hear. And we have tons of evidence. But, you know, that old saying about justice delayed is justice denied. And now we're wondering, can Attorney General Barr turn back the hands of time, or do we just go on from here?
Well, I hope what he does is now turns the tables and investigates the investigators and investigates how this whole thing started, who authorized the spying on Donald Trump, why were these faulty FISA warrants issued, why was this Steele dossier allowed to be used when they knew it was a political document, how did you have all this interconnectedness between Bruce Orr, his wife, and Strzok and Page, and of course they were the ones supposedly investigating Hillary Clinton, and her investigation was a sham. They exonerated her before investigating her. And I think we got to go back to that Loretta Lynch meeting on the tarmac. So there's so much to uncover here and unpack, and I really do hope they go back to the beginning of the genesis of this and find out the real corruption that started this whole thing. And let's hope, you know, Attorney General Barr is the man to do it, because that could be very consequential for the remainder of the president's term, and I think solidify a second term for him as well.
Well, I know that we're all hopeful out here because we do want justice, and it seems that it's disappointing when these top positions are filled, as you said, by folks like Sessions, who was the first one on board to endorse Trump, and so he gets the nod, and then we're stuck with 2 years of really incompetency and lack of courage. So I know out here in the heartland, we are hopeful that Attorney General Barr will now begin to mete out the justice that has been so richly deserved for a long, long time. We do need to take a break. We're coming to you from the Conservative Commandos Radio Network studios and around the world on the internet with TalkStream Live, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, American Political Radio, Leading Edge Radio Network, and AM/FM 24/7. And now you can watch our TV show on the AUN TV network in Northern California. We'll be right back with our guest, Jeff Crouere, who is, he has his own radio program by rights. Ringside Politics has written a book, America's Last Chance, and we've been talking about finally getting a real Attorney General. We'll be right back after these messages with Jeff Crouere, our co-host Rick Trader, and I'm Sharron Engel.
AM/FM 24/7 Roku channel broadcasts all of our shows on demand. To ensure reliability, we store and stream our content on the same servers as Netflix and Amazon. Our Roku channel is free to use, and anyone owning one of the more than 10 million Roku devices can watch our channel at no cost whatsoever. If you have a television show or are thinking about producing a show, you can be a part of AM/FM 24/7's Roku channel. Watch our great shows on your Roku device. It's free and more reliable than cable TV. Are you stuck with a timeshare? Did you attend the presentation and were seduced and enticed into buying that great vacation and investment? Now you're in the terrible position of trying to figure out a way to get out of that mess. You're not alone. For over 15 years, BuyYourTimeshare.com has been helping people like yourself get out of timeshare ownership. The fact is, there is no resale market. Unscrupulous telemarketers call you and say they have buyers waiting, and the next thing that happens is you give them hundreds of dollars for an ad, and you'll never hear from them again. Another fact is that an identical timeshare to yours is being offered on eBay for $1, and no one is buying it. If you want out of your timeshare, I urge you to go to BuyYourTimeshare.com or call them at 877-94-HELP-ME. That number again is 877-94-HELP-ME. BuyYourTimeshare.com. That's BuyYourTimeshare.com. 877-94-HELP-ME.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
Welcome back. Welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Rick Trader. My co-host today is Sharron Angle. And want to give a shout out to the folks who listen to us on stations in Jacksonville, Tampa, and the Villages, Florida, Las Vegas and Reno, Macon, Georgia, Lancaster and Pittsburgh, Boulder and Colorado Springs, Milwaukee, Long Beach, California, and seen on the AUN television network in places like San Jose and San Francisco. Our guest is Jeff Crouere. He is Ringside Politics when you're down in New Orleans, Louisiana. He's also the author of the book, America's Last Chance. Jeff, thank you for holding through that break. We appreciate your time.
Thank you, Rick.
While we're discussing an article you wrote, Finally, a Real Attorney General. Jeff, you said you had questions about Barr. I did too. My question was, why is Donald Trump picking somebody from a Bush administration? I wondered if this wasn't just more of the deep state and, you know, he might have been okay coming out of this Mueller mess, but we've got 2 years left. And I'm concerned about those 2 years and what we're really getting in Barr. Do you have those concerns?
I did. Those concerns are lessened somewhat by what I've seen in the past few months. He's been Attorney General now about 2 plus months since he started in February, Rick. Mm-hmm. And I like what I've seen so far. Of course, we got a long way to go. But this Mueller thing is a big part of what we're looking for this Attorney General to do. Mm-hmm. And I think he's handled it very, very well in an expert fashion, and certainly has enraged the Democrats and the media. And whenever they're enraged, I'm happy. So that means, wow, he's doing something very well. Now, of course, we got to see what happens next.
Yeah.
Looking into the spying, he admitted there was spying. We know there was spying. So we're going to try to see what happens with this investigation. And we've also got the Inspector General who's investigating. And this guy takes forever in his investigations, but he's investigating. So hopefully he will come up with something concrete as well.
Jeff, are you as surprised as I was how deep the deep state is, still is, or has been in the Justice Department?
Yes. Now, I did some research, and in 2016, Rick, of all the DOJ donations to the 2016 election, 97% of those donations went to Hillary Clinton. So that gave me an indication that the DOJ is very left-wing. Now, over the years on my show, I've interviewed, U.S. attorneys and others at the top echelon, and some of these people were pretty strong law and order conservatives, but it seems like they're the exception, and most of the department is very liberal, and we've certainly seen that in this whole episode with the spying operation of Donald Trump and this whole ridiculous witch hunt that we've been involved in now for all these years. So we need someone to clean up that Department of Justice. Jeff Sessions was not the man to do it. He could not do it. He didn't have the courage, didn't have the capability, couldn't get it done. So now I'm hoping someone with the experience of Barr can do it, and let's hope and pray that he can, because it's crucial.
All right, I agree. When we talk about, in great article, by the way, Jeff. Really loved your article. And I think you outlined it very well. And you've talked about the past attorney generals. Holder, enough said about him. Loretta Lynch, actually not enough said about Eric Holder. Let me ask you this. He was held in contempt of Congress. Whatever happened to that?
Absolutely nothing.
now we can get up past Eric Holder and we can get on to Loretta Lynch. Enough said about her. But, you know, when we get to Jeff Sessions, I thought that was a good pick initially. You know, I know why Trump made that pick. Jeff Sessions, who I think was the first senator to endorse him. Okay, got on board right away. But right from the get-go, he turned out to be a bad pick. Also hurt us in another way. That cost us the Senate seat from the state. You know, so that really hurt us with that. And if you look at the razor slim margin that we do have in the Senate right now, every seat is valuable. Every seat is valuable. Your thoughts on the initial pick of Sessions?
Well, we're from a neighboring state here, Louisiana, and I know a lot of people from Alabama, and I know a lot of people there that were big boosters of Jeff Sessions. I actually met Jeff Sessions and thought he was a nice guy. He's very mild-mannered and sort of a Southern gentleman, and comes across as someone who's sort of meek and not exactly forceful. And maybe in a Senate environment, you know, that's okay when you had 100 people. But when you're the top guy of a department, you have to be strong. You have to be taking charge. You have to be putting in place these deep state actors that are all over the place. You got to be firing people right and left and bringing on your own people. We didn't get U.S. attorneys picked in many places across the country for years. We had a U.S. attorney opening here in New Orleans for like 2 years. So the job didn't get done. And I think he just wasn't up to the task. And certainly I think he will go down in history as one of the worst attorney generals of all time. And that's why I guess Barr, in comparison, looks really good. Because whenever you follow someone who was so terrible, I mean, you're going to look great. But, I mean, we really need him to be a monumental attorney general and to really take hold of what happened here and investigate. It's crucial, Rick, for the Republic. I mean, this can never, as the president said the other day, this can never happen to another president again. We cannot have this kind of a coup d'etat. That's what it was. It was an attempted coup d'etat.
Well, I agree with you when you talk about anything after Sessions look good. That's why I never like to follow Jeff Crouere. Shows what I really am. But I think he got himself on the wrong foot when he recused himself. That was it. And I don't understand why. I think Donald Trump should have bitten the bullet right then and there and fired this guy. I mean, he's fired a lot of other people in his cabinet. And as you said, one of the things I'm not crazy about Donald Trump is a lot of his choices for his cabinet. Not very many of the original left, if any. I'm surprised he didn't pull that trigger a little sooner.
Well, you know what? If he would have done it immediately, then I think he could have gotten it done. But the longer it dragged out, I guess he figured he had to wait until after the election. So he just kept him there till after the midterm. But I think he would have never hired him in the first place if he would have known that he would have recused himself. That should have been part of the interview process with Jeff Sessions. He should have known that in advance and never taken him away from the seat in Alabama. We wouldn't have lost that seat. We would have had, of course, a more competent attorney general. So that really was a very, very costly mistake, and I'm hoping we can rectify it with Attorney General Barr.
Yeah. Matt Whitaker, for the time that he was there, I was kind of impressed with him. Was he there for long enough for you to get any impression of him?
I got a positive impression of him. I thought he did a good job. I saw some of his hearings before Congress. He seemed to be more combative than Jeff Sessions, stronger. I think he, just sort of did what he could because he knew he wasn't going to be there for long. So I was sort of hoping that he might be put into some other type of leadership position in the administration, and maybe he will. But I was impressed with him by the limited amount that I saw of him in action.
All right. Jeff Crouere, we want to thank you so much for joining us here on Conservative Commandos. Jeff, please tell our audience where they can listen to you, where they can watch you, where they can read your articles, buy your books. Jeff, you're all over the place.
Well, Sharron and Rick, thank you. It's always an honor to be with you all. The best way people can sort of follow what I'm doing and learn about the shows, my book, and also, of course, my YouTube channel, where I'd love people to go on and subscribe to my channel, where I have new videos up all the time, is to just go on my website, which is jeffcrouere.com, and that's CROUERE.com, and they can follow me on Twitter and Facebook and get all the links right there on the site. So I'd love people to check it out.
All right. Well, maybe you'll get in a habit one of these days of sending us your YouTube links so we could also air them on AUN TV.
Yes.
Can we get you to do that, Jeff?
I will do that. I will do that, and I'd love to be on. And congratulations. I mean, that's massive for you to be on in California. We need you in Crouere, so that's
the great. Belly of the beast. The belly of the beast. Channel 3 in San Francisco. Oh my God, I wonder what they think of us there. Jeff Crouere, thank you so much for joining us. Take care and God bless.
Thank you all.
And you are listening and watching the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Rick Trader. My co-host today is Sharron Angle. Don't go away. On the other side, we're going to be talking about Earth Day, which was yesterday. Did you notice it? But it was the 49th anniversary. Wonder how much the Earth has changed in the 49 years since then. Don't go away. We'll be right back with our next guest.
I saw voter fraud with my own eyes. Now, people say, why didn't you report it to the authorities? Well, they were the ones doing it.
Goes to vote for merit,
the integrity of one man, one vote doesn't apply at the Texas state legislature. There is no way to know if your representatives are voting for themselves.
Hartman, a Republican, reaches back to vote for Democrat Oliveira. Democrat Matt Reynolds votes for Republican England.
2 out of 3 voters nationwide believe that voter fraud is a serious problem in the U.S. today.
The process is rigged.
Both sides of the aisle are guilty.
Florida now has to tell the Department of Justice whether the state will comply with DOJ's demand to stop purging thousands of people from its voter rolls.
We have the sloppiest election system of any industrialized democracy.
Philadelphia flagged 50,000 duplicate registrations, so just think how many more slipped through.
It's almost impossible to detect.
How do you get caught? You only get caught if you confess.
Election corruption is deeply embedded in America. Quote, election fraud is a crime that usually pays, unquote, writes Tracy Campbell in his book, Deliver the Vote, A History of Election Fraud, an American political tradition from 1742 to 2004. In 1742, the first Prime Minister of Britain in the American colonies, Robert Walpole, was forced to resign.
We have a right not to have our vote canceled out by someone who shouldn't be voting, someone who's an illegal alien, someone who's a felon not eligible to vote, someone who doesn't exist. If they vote, they cancel your vote out as much as if you're prevented from voting.
If this is going to be fixed, it's going to have to be a citizen effort. It comes down to, it's the same old question, if not now, when? If not us, then who?
This is huge. This is about the democracy and the principles of the United States of America. People say, but why you? Why you? Why? Well, why not? And if it starts with a fireman, if it starts with a sanitation worker, if it starts with a teacher or a nurse or a caretaker of the elderly, then so be it. It's got to start somewhere. But it's time we come together and fix this problem once and for all.
There is no serious person out there who would suggest somehow that you could even rig America's elections.
To say that it doesn't exist is an outright lie.
Serious allegations of voter fraud. The claims raising questions about the
Commerce Secretary Ron Brown and 32 others were on a military plane that crashed today in a violent storm. There are no known survivors at this time.
The U.S. Army was funded by the evil entity.
I saw voter fraud with my own eyes.
To say that it doesn't exist is an outright lie.
The process is rigged.
People die and fall for the right time. It's stupid time.
So it's incredibly important now that we draw a line and say, not on
our watch.
AM/FM 24/7 Roku channel broadcasts all of our shows on demand. To ensure reliability, we store and stream our content on the same servers as Netflix and Amazon. Our Roku channel is free to use, and anyone owning one of the more than 10 million Roku devices can watch our channel at no cost whatsoever. If you have a television show or are thinking about producing a show, you can be a part of AM/FM 24/7's Roku channel. Watch our great shows on your Roku device. It's free and more reliable than cable TV. Are you stuck with a timeshare? Did you attend the presentation and were seduced and enticed into buying that great vacation and investment? Now you're in the terrible position of trying to figure out a way to get out of that mess. You're not alone. For over 15 years, BuyYourTimeshare.com has been helping people like yourself get out of timeshare ownership. The fact is, there is no resale market. Unscrupulous telemarketers call you and say they have buyers waiting, and the next thing that happens is you give them hundreds of dollars for an ad, and you'll never hear from them again. Another fact is that an identical timeshare to yours is being offered on eBay for $1, and no one is buying it. If you want out of your timeshare, I urge you to go to BuyYourTimeshare.com or call them at 877-94-HELP-ME. That number again is 877-94-HELP-ME. BuyYourTimeshare.com. That's BuyYourTimeshare.com. 877-94-HELP-ME.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
Thank you for staying with us. This is the Conservative Commandos radio show with Sharron Angle and yours truly, Rick Trader. For rebroadcasts of our show, check out our website, CCRShow.com. That's CCRShow.com. You can find our radio show there, our TV show there. A lot of great articles, a lot of terrific information. And Sharron, our next guest is with us, as usual. Make him feel welcome.
It's always a pleasure to introduce E.Calvin Beisner, who is a doctor of theology. He's a founder and national spokesman of the Cornwall Alliance for Stewardship of Creation. He's the author of a dozen books and over 1,000 articles, former associate professor of historical theology and social ethics at Knox Theological Seminary, and in interdisciplinary studies at Covenant College. Cal, welcome back to the Conservative Commandos radio show.
Well, thanks very much. Great to be back with you both.
Well, you wrote a great article, Earth Day, time to express thanks to God for his gift of creation. You know, we've been celebrating Earth Day for a long time. Rick pointed out 49 years. And It seems like it didn't really come into existence in order to celebrate the creation that God gave us. It was more of a politically correct holiday. It seemed like something that we could get these environmental agenda going in this country. And instead of truly thanking God for the wonderful creation that he's given us. And I really appreciate this article because that's exactly where you went. And you pointed out that's exactly where our president went too.
Yeah, it is. You know, when Earth Day first started, it was pretty well bipartisan supported. And it arose in a period when, frankly, we really did have a lot of pretty serious environmental problems in the United States. Air, water pollution, solid waste pollution, toxic chemicals in what have since become Superfund sites. These were all over the place, and they were pretty serious. It had not been long since the Cuyahoga River in Ohio had burned, which, by the way, was not an uncommon thing. Rivers burned all the time because they had so many chemicals in them, flammable chemicals. We haven't had any river burn in the United States since then, and that's a great thing. The early Earth days, I think, focused on real pollution problems that tend to be local and tend to be, frankly, pretty manageable as we learn how to control emissions and clean up sites. That's great. More recently, Earth Day has become, as you suggested, a very much a politically partisan thing, and increasingly in the last decade or so, it's focused on climate change. And frankly, we're being pushed to embrace things that are scientifically dubious, and the means of changing would be extremely costly financially, especially to the poor around the world. So this is why, frankly, I was really surprised. I don't often like presidential pronouncements. I tend to see them as often pretty self-serving. But this one I thought really read well. So while a lot of the world uses Earth Day as a reminder for environmental problems, I saw President Trump's declaration as reminding us of the blessings of God's good creation. It happened to come to me right about the same time that I opened a text from my next door neighbor who owns a horse farm. And he had taken a photo of a bald eagle circling over his farm, probably partly over my little pond that separates my place from his. And it was just striking. It was exciting to see this. We've been here for a little over a year, and we've seen eagles, we've seen a lot of hawks, and of course buzzards and whatnot, but not a bald eagle before. That was pretty exciting for me. And it just, again, it moved me to praise God for the beauties and the glory of his creation.
Well, and I'm certain for a creature that we thought might become extinct because we hadn't been very good at conserving some of the animal life that we have here in the United States.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, that's one of many that we have brought back from the brink of extinction, or at least from serious loss of population. And frankly, we can properly thank a lot of environmentalists for helping us in that direction in the early years. Unfortunately, too much of the environmental movement now has become hyper-politicized and pretty far divorced from good science.
Well, one of your books has to do with your skepticism about President Trump. You kind of mentioned or alluded to that you have a healthy skepticism about presidents and the way that they address us. So talk to us a little bit about that book and kind of a change of heart that you've had toward this president, I guess.
Well, it wasn't actually a book. It was a number of different articles that I wrote back during the Republican primaries of 2015, 2016. And I frankly was pretty strongly opposed to the president. What I realized, though, as we came to the general election, was we really had a choice. We had a choice between the package that would come with Donald Trump, a vice president, a party platform, thousands of political appointees, including really crucial Supreme Court appointments, those things and more. Versus the package that would have come with Hillary Clinton and the thousands of appointees she would have brought with her, the kinds of Supreme Court appointees. That was when I realized, well, as I put it, as I saw it, Donald Trump was the price I was willing to pay to get the one package instead of the other. But since then, Sharon, I've been really pleasantly surprised. I don't like his bombast. I don't like the crudeness of so much of his communication. But when I look at his policies, when I look particularly at policies related to the environment and the economy, I can't help saying, this is going the right direction. This is really good stuff. And so when he started off his presidential message on Earth Day today by saying Earth Day is a celebration of the abundant beauty and life-sustaining bounty of our natural environment, on this day we reaffirm our responsibility to protect God's wondrous creation for future generations, I thought, wow, that's a pleasant surprise.
Well, and as you point out in your article, it really isn't just rhetoric.
No, it's not. I mean, quite clearly, his policies have brought about both economic growth and environmental improvement. And the reason for that is actually pretty clear historically. A clean, healthful, beautiful environment is a costly good. And frankly, richer people can afford more costly goods than poorer people can. So as our economy has improved, our ability to spend the money necessary to clean up Superfund sites, to reduce the real pollutants that come from, including fossil fuels, fly ash and toxic gases like certain I got tongue-tied here all at once. Certain gases that come as we burn them, they really can be toxic, and we can afford the equipment necessary to clean those things out. This is really good news, and as he pointed out, under his administration, we've been improving water quality, air quality, drinking water quality, and infrastructure to provide this all around. That, I think, is a really good thing.
Well, and you also pointed out that we are reforming land management policies as well.
Yeah, and so many people started blaming man-made global warming for the giant wildfires out in the West over this past year. And in reality, climate change had nothing to do with those wildfires. What had to do with them was a long period of neglect of the forest lands, where instead of carefully managing them, we allowed them to become overgrown with both trees and underbrush. And that put a whole lot more fuel in the path of the fires. The number of wildfires occurring in the United States has been declining pretty steadily from the 1920s onward. The total area burned declined from the 1920s till about the late 1990s, early 2000s. But then the area burned began to rise, even though the number of fires continued falling. The reason for that is precisely that, because of unwise environmentalist thinking. We had stopped managing our forests well, and we had left much more fuel to be burned. And then fires burn hotter, they move faster, and we suffer the kind of terrible catastrophes that we really did suffer.
Well, we're here talking with E.Calvin Beisner about an article that he wrote, Earth Day, Time to Express Thanks to God for His Creation, and really how President Trump has given Earth Day once more a good name. That it started out that way, kind of slumped through the time of political correctness, and now we're seeing it on the uptick again. We have to go to a break. We are coming to you from the Conservative Commandos Radio Network studios and around the world on the internet with TalkStream Live, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, American Political Radio, Leading Edge Radio Network, and AM/FM 24/7. And now you can watch our TV show on the AUN TV network in Northern California. We'll be right back with E.Calvin Beisner, Rick Trader, and I'm Sharron Engel.
Have you been leasing a property for your business or renting storage space? Are you tired of paying rent year after year? Call the experts at General Steel to own a building at up to 30% off now.
I'd been renting a building and paying someone else's mortgage, but General Steel showed me how I could own a space tailored to the needs of my business and for less than renting.
Call General Steel now at the number on your screen for our current building specials and to price your metal building system today.
My building's the dream I've had since finishing my house 14 years ago. I've been using it for a garage, workshop, and storage area for my tools and equipment, and I can't believe how great it turned out.
The economy is improving, and the price of steel is expected to rise. Stop waiting. It could cost you thousands. Call General Steel now to see how you can own for less than you thought. Stop waiting to start your business or expand your operation. Call General Steel now.
Call 877-484-7002.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America, and get this. Did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
AM/FM 24/7 Roku channel broadcasts all of our shows on demand. To ensure reliability, we store and stream our content on the same servers as Netflix and Amazon. Our Roku channel is free to use, and anyone owning one of the more than 10 million Roku devices can watch our channel at no cost whatsoever. If you have a television show or are thinking about producing a show, you can be a part of AM/FM 24/7's Roku channel. Watch our great shows on your Roku device. It's free and more reliable than cable TV. Are you stuck with a timeshare? Did you attend the presentation and were seduced and enticed into buying that great vacation and investment? Now you're in the terrible position of trying to figure out a way to get out of that mess. You're not alone. For over 15 years, BuyYourTimeshare.com has been helping people like yourself get out of timeshare ownership. The fact is, there is no resale market. Unscrupulous telemarketers call you and say they have buyers waiting, and the next thing that happens is you give them hundreds of dollars for an ad, and you'll never hear from them again. Another fact is that an identical timeshare to yours is being offered on eBay for $1, and no one is buying it. If you want out of your timeshare, I urge you to go to BuyYourTimeshare.com or call them at 877-94-HELP-ME. That number again is 877-94-HELP-ME. BuyYourTimeshare.com. That's BuyYourTimeshare.com. 877-94-HELP-ME.
This is the Conservative Commandos radio show. I'm Rick Trader. My co-host today is Sharron Angle, and our guest is E.Calvin Beisner. He's the founder and national spokesman of the Cornwall Alliance for the Stewardship of Creation. Cal, thank you for holding through that break. We really appreciate your time.
Glad to do it.
Well, Cal, I think the stewardship of creation says a lot, especially when we're talking about our planet, the Earth. Yesterday was the 49th anniversary of Earth Day. Cal, I think the older I get, the more I appreciate nature, wildlife, and ecology.
Yes.
Yes, and I'm a conservative, a fiscal and a financial conservative, a social conservative. But I appreciate this beautiful country, and I've seen it. I've seen bald eagles, as you and Sharron was talking about. I love the flowering spring trees. Yeah. And just coming out of Easter, you know, this has just been a spectacular spring, at least here on the East Coast. The dogwoods are coming out. We've seen the cherries. We've seen the forsythia. We've seen the eastern redbuds are out now. And I really feel an appreciation for that. I remember the first Earth Day some 49 years ago, and I was very proud of what people were wanting to do in making our world cleaner. But there were some predictions I want to talk about, Cal, and maybe I could get your reactions to them.
Sure.
Earth Day, 1970, they predicted that civilization would end in 15 to 30 years, that between 100 and 200 million deaths would occur because of starvation in the next 10 years from Earth Day, and that there'd be a new ice age by the year 2000. I think they missed the boat, Cal.
You know, Yogi Berra put it really well when he said prediction is really difficult, especially when it's about the future. And, you know, those sorts of predictions can be multiplied for a great deal of the environmental movement. I mean, Al Gore telling us in 2007 that the North Pole would be ice-free, the Arctic Ocean would be ice-free within a decade. That hasn't happened. It hasn't come anywhere near it. As a matter of fact, the Arctic ice expanse and ice mass have actually recovered significantly from where they had gone as of the period of about 2005 to 2011 or 12. You know, Gore told us that we would see perhaps 20 to 60 feet of sea level rise by the end of this century. Well, if that's so, then we should have seen at least 4 feet and probably instead about 12 feet by now. And instead we're seeing sea level continue to rise at about 1.5 millimeters per year, which is the same rate that it's done for many centuries running. That averages out to around about 7 inches per century. So these sorts of predictions come and go. They come and go. The sad thing is that so many people, for some strange reason, continue to respect the environmental alarmists, despite all their false predictions.
Cal, do we still need an Earth Day?
Well, you know, I think we certainly still need to be reminded of the importance of good environmental stewardship. I mean, we don't want to waste resources. We don't want to put out pollution in risky amounts. Some pollution is frankly inevitable. It comes with everything that we do. I mean, if you count carbon dioxide as pollution, then you and I are putting it out at a rate far greater than coal-fired power plants. We put it out at 40,000 parts per million every time we exhale. But we can be responsible. We can minimize the amount of emissions of actually dangerous things like the sulfur oxides and nitrogen oxides that come when we burn fossil fuels, or the fly ash, the toxic heavy metals like mercury. We can minimize those. We've already minimized them in all developed countries. We can burn coal tremendously cleanly. What we need to see is for continued economic development to happen in the third world, the developing countries of the world, so that they too can afford the kind of clean technology that allows us to use those fossil fuels so efficiently, so cleanly, that they present no risk to anybody. The sad thing is that the solutions to climate change would actually deprive the poorest countries of the world of the very wealth that they need.
Well, before you
get that technology,
Cal, before you want to get there, and I want to go with you on that, do you see this puzzled look on my face? Because when you're mentioning all these acids and fly ash and stuff like that, and I'm waiting, and you're talking about these really dangerous things, I'm waiting for you to talk about carbon dioxide. You didn't mention it, Cal. Did you miss that one?
Yeah, carbon dioxide does come from our burning fossil fuels, and it's actually a very good thing, not a bad thing. You know, CO2 is absolutely essential for photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is what makes plants grow. The more CO2 you have in the atmosphere, the better plants grow. On average, for every doubling of CO2 concentration, you get about a 35% increase in plant growth efficiency. That means plants grow better in warmer and cooler temperatures and in wetter and drier soils. They make better use of soil nutrients. They resist diseases and pests better. They improve their fruit to fiber ratio. They expand their ranges. They move into colder climates and warmer climates. They move into higher altitudes and lower altitudes. All of that means more food for everything that eats plants and more food for everything that eats things that eat plants. Right. And the ones who benefit from this more than anyone else are the world's poor, who desperately need for food to become more abundant and more affordable. And that's exactly what happens as we increase carbon dioxide content in the atmosphere. And meanwhile, its warming effect is practically nil. Not totally nil, but practically nil.
Cal, we only have a couple minutes left, and I want to go somewhere with you. You're right. In my chapter, arguing against the notion that capitalism is bad for the environment. Cal, I've been to some third world countries, and they are the dirtiest places on earth that I've ever been. I cannot describe to you how dirty Cairo is. The trash, the litter, the garbage, the pollution. So could you take the last minute or so and talk about the harm of poor to the environment, the harm that by being poor contributes to the environment?
Yeah, I've been in Africa, I've been in India, I've seen the kind of squalor that you describe. And frankly, as I said a little while ago, a clean, healthful, beautiful environment costs something. It's more expensive to dispose of waste properly than improperly. It's more expensive to pick up litter and take care of it properly. These are things that the poor cannot afford to do. And not that we should blame them, but rather that we should say, look, let's enhance the very things that lifted us out of poverty so that they can be shared with people around the world. Very important in that was abundant, affordable, reliable energy, especially from fossil fuels. If we grew out of poverty using that, what right have we to tell the poor around the world, you can't follow our example? Frankly, they need prosperity far more than they need any kind of climate control. Poverty is a far greater risk than anything related to climate. If you have the equivalent of, say, the bottom 5% of income in the United States, you can thrive in any climate from the Arctic Circle to the Sahara Desert. If you're extremely poor, if you're living on the equivalent of, say, $1.50 to $2 a day, you can't thrive in the best tropical paradise.
Well, what about the idea that we have to sacrifice our economy? We have to become poorer in order to achieve a cleaner earth.
Well, that's exactly the opposite of what history tells us. As you get wealthier, you can afford to be cleaner. And so if we are forced to become poorer, we will in fact become less clean. That's just a basic lesson of economic and environmental history that I talked about in my chapter in the book called Counting the Cost, Christian Perspectives on Capitalism. I had a chapter refuting the notion that capitalism is bad for the environment. And I documented some of the ways in which more market-driven economies outperform more centrally managed economies in protecting the environment.
Calvin Beisner, we want to thank you for joining us today on the Conservative Commandos radio show, the Cornwall Alliance for the Stewardship of Creation. I love it. Cal, please tell our audience how they could follow your work, read your articles, buy your book, learn more.
Well, thank you very much. We are at cornwallalliance.org. That's cornwallalliance.org. We publish a free email newsletter. We have all sorts of books and DVDs in our online shop. We provide speakers for conferences, churches, schools, colleges, and the like. All of these things we're glad to do. And so your listeners can find us again at cornwallalliance.org.
Cal Beisner, I want to thank you so much for joining us. Take care and God bless.
Well, thanks, Rick. Thanks very much. God bless you too.
God bless you. And this is the Conservative Commandos radio show. Don't go away. Sharron and I will be back with more right after this break.
Have you been leasing a property for your business or renting storage space? Are you tired of paying rent year after year? Call the experts at General Steel to own a building at up to 30% off now.
I'd been renting a building and paying someone else's mortgage, but General Steel showed me how I could own a space tailored to the needs of my business and for less than renting.
Call General Steel now at the number on your screen for our current building specials and to price your metal building system today.
My building's the dream I've had since finishing my house 14 years ago. I've been using it for a garage, workshop, and storage area for my tools and equipment, and I can't believe how great it turned out.
The economy is improving and the price of steel is expected to rise. Stop waiting. It could cost you thousands. Call General Steel now to see how you can own for less than you thought. Stop waiting to start your business or expand your operation. Call General Steel now.
Call 877-484-7002.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America. And get this, did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
Well, Sharron, that just about wraps it up for today's show. And as usual, I want to thank you for being my co-host today. I certainly enjoyed doing the show with you, Sharron. Please tell our audience how they could follow you're doing when you're not here on Conservative Commandos.
Well, they can go to my website, SharonAngle.com, SharonAngle.com. I want to thank our guests. We have some great guests today. Travis Korson, who is currently the Senior Vice President at Madison Strategies and the Director of Public Policy at Frontiers of Freedom, talked to us about Bernie's Medicare for All. And Jeff Crouere, who is with Ringside Politics, and he has a YouTube channel. We'd like to get on our AUN TV network. He has talked to us about the real Attorney General. And finally, E.Calvin Beisner, we're grateful to him for coming on. He's from the Cornwall Alliance for Stewardship of Creation, and he talked to us about Earth Day and a time to express thanks to God for his gift of creation.
Absolutely. All right, but for right now, we are out of time. We got to run. We got to go. Take care. God bless. We'll see you tomorrow on TV and on radio.